Guys, this is Praveen, and today I'm going to upload my first YouTube video. And in this video, I'll talk about me little. Then I will explain about the structure of human heart. So now I'm studying 12th standard in biology section, and I like biology. Biology, and now I'm going to discuss about the structure of human heart. So now, what is structure of human heart? So, if you go through the heart, so heart is situated in the mediastinum. So mediastinum is a region in the thorax in between two lungs, and the size of heart is uh, is equal to the fist of a human, and it is four chambered. If you see externally, it is four chambered with two atria and two ventricles. And if you see a heart, it is pear shaped, and it is with two broad. It is broad anteriorly, and this this posterior side is the posterior end is pointed, and it is slightly curved to the left. So if you talk about the external structure of the heart, so external structure of heart, it will have two atria and two ventricles. So this atria are for the upper parts, and these are smaller when compared to ventricles. So so these atria, so from the atria, uh, pouch like projections, so we call them as auricular appendages, will arise, and this auricular appendages will arise from the upper portions of the each auricles, and the auricles and the ventricles are separated by a groove that we call it as coronary sulcus. And if you see the internal structure, so if we here in the internal structure, we deeply go through the structure of atria. So this atria, if you go through the atria, if you observe atria, the right atria is bigger than the left. So this left atria will receive the deoxygenated blood, so whereas the left atria will receive oxygenated blood. So these atria will receive the blood from three caval veins. So the two pre-caval veins and the post-caval vein. So the opening of post-caval vein is guarded by the valve of inferior is guarded by the valve of Eustachian valve. So this Eustachian valve is remnant of embryonic stage, and during embryonic stage it will function, but whereas in adults uh, it is non-functional. So these two atria are separated by a septum that is called as interatrial septum, and so this septum bears a pore. We will call it as fossa ovalis. So so it will be remnant of embryonic. So we will observe it in fetal stage. So when during childbirth, so when the lungs become functional, this um, this foramen ovale will be closed, and we will call it as fossa ovalis, and this leaves a depression that we will call it as fossa ovalis. Okay. Then if it is not closed properly, then we will call it as patent ovalis, fossa ovalis. So this is called as hole in heart. uh, it is not cured properly, then the child will die. And if you through the go through ventricles, so these atria and ventricles are separated by the atrioventricular septum, and this atrioventricular septum bears apparatus. So this atrioventricular apparatus and this way opening of these atria, left atria and the right atria into the respective chambers is guarded by atrioventricular apertures. So the right atrium opens in the right ventricle through the right atrioventricular aperture, and this is guarded by the tricuspid valve. And if we see the left ventricle opens into the left ventricle and through the left atrioventricular aperture, and this is guarded by mitral valve or bicuspid valve. So is that clear now? And then the next thing is ventricles. So if you see ventricles, the ventricles are much thicker than and larger than the auricles, since the wall of the ventricles is made by thin muscular thick muscular tissue. So it is quite larger than auricles, and the ventricles, if you observe them, they form the posterior side of the heart. And so the ventricles, if we observe ventricles, the left ventricle is larger than the right ventricle. This is why, because of the left ventricle is made up of thick muscle than the right ventricle, and the right ventricle opens receives the deoxygenated blood, and it will carry the blood to lungs through the pulmonary arch, and this from the left ventricle systemic arch arises, and this systemic arch will carry the blood to all body parts. And this is about the structure of heart. If you want to see the diagrammatically, so then I will show you now. So and this is the external structure of heart. Here if you see, this is called the upper, this red one is called as systemic arch, and this is our left auricle, and this is our right auricle, and this is our left ventricle, and this is our right ventricle, and this is our pulmonary arch, and this is precaval vein, and this is postcaval vein. And this precaval vein is also called as superior vena cava, and this postcaval vein is also called as inferior vena cava. And this this part that joins the systemic and pulmonary arch is called as ligamentum arteriosum, and it is remnant of embryonic stage. In embryonic stage, this is about external structure. If we go through the internal structure, we'll have and this is systemic arch, and this is pulmonary arch, and this is right auricle, This is larger than the left. This is left auricle, and this is the left ventricle, and this is right ventricle. So you can observe that this is thicker than the left or right ventricle. So you can also observe that this right auricle is thicker than the left auricle. And from the ventricles, muscular extensions, those we call it as columnar corneae. So these long extensions of the columnar cornea are called as papillary muscles. In between the papillary muscles and the atrioventricular apertures, we can observe the chordae tendineae, and we have here pulmonary veins, left pulmonary veins, and here we have right pulmonary veins. This is whole above. This is here we can observe the bicuspid wall or mitral wall. Here we can observe tricuspid wall and chordae tendineae, and this is all about the structure of heart. Hope this is useful to you.